All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the District of Brown Deer School Board meeting. I'd like to be able to verify about public notice. The meeting has been publicly noticed. Verification of a quorum. We have all 7 board members in attendance this evening. Approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
All right, Ms. Macon made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Was made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing seen none, all in favor will raise hand and/or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing seen none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. And the reading of our vision and mission statement. Our vision is to provide a rigorous education that empowers our students to confidently navigate in our ever-changing world. And our mission is through the lens of excellence, equity, and engagement. We are dedicated to empowering every student with the essential skills to build a foundation for lifelong learning. Now, with that being said, since tonight is our regularly scheduled board meeting, there is a part on here for public comments. If an individual wants to make a comment, it has to be something that is part of our agenda. That's tonight's agenda. In order to make a comment, it's a comment and not a question. And if you do, you have 3 minutes. All right. And for those that may be online, you need to go into the chat, put in your name and your address, and let them know that you have a comment that you would like to be able to make. And who is monitoring the chat this evening? Ms. Robinson is monitoring the chat this evening and stuff. So when we get to that part, please, if you do have a public comment, again, it is based upon agenda items that are on tonight's agenda. Okay. All right. So let's go on to our next part. Dr. Kelsey Brown, our district administrator's report.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome on this rainy evening and rainy day. Feel like it's been raining for 40 days and 40 nights.
Heard it over.
Just a few items that I am working on as I currently transition out. Working on staff evaluation. I completed my own district administrator's evaluation in conjunction with Wendy Deserzic from C6. I represented the district at President Montgomery's Mother's Services. She lost her mom, and so our continued condolences and prayers to her and her family. We continue to work on graduation. As if you do not know, graduation is actually near and nigh. It will take place on this Saturday at 3 p.m. In the Novak Family Fieldhouse. We did move graduation. We moved the time. Okay. Because we have several students who are going up or go upstate for track. And so we had several, we received feedback from parents around students having to choose between going upstate and graduation. So we hope we are able to offset that this year by giving them more time to be able to get back for graduation. So
it's at 3.
At 3 o'clock on Saturday. This Saturday, yes. We had our May Professional Learning Day. That's our celebration day where we recognize our staff members who are retiring from the School District of Brown Deer. We have 7 retirees, and then we also recognize our staff who have been working here for five years or more in 5-year increments, 5, 10, 15, 20. So May PO Day went very well. On that day, Dr. Cotton attended the May PO Day with us in the morning, and we set it up in such a way that she would be able to conduct a meet and greet with all of the staff members in each building, share a little bit about herself, and then answer any questions that they may have had. So that went over well. I attended the Pox concert. Our students are doing an amazing job with the instruments that they're playing, and thank you to the teachers, Mr. Brownfield, Mr. Dahl, and Ms. Heinrich, who is retiring, for a wonderful event that night. I also, on Tuesday, I think it was, we had Brown Deer Literacy Night at the elementary school, and then we also had our first annual DECA banquet, and I was able to attend both of those in the same evening. Great big shout out to Aramark for our students made pizzas at the elementary school. And so there were a couple of students who were selected as the pizza makers, if you will. They won the pizza making contest, is the best way to say it. And so the students were recognized with their parents was that Thursday? last Thursday night. So that was over at the middle high school. They were able to make their own pizzas Thursday night at in the middle school kitchen. But on the following day, each student's pizza is what the students ate district-wide. It was their pizza. And so they were recognized as chefs, if you will, for the following day. We had one last week, we have one this week.
So it was their recipe.
It was the students' recipe.
Do you know what, do you remember what they were?
Shoot. One of them was pepperoni. One was pepperoni and one had they put Doritos all.
So no M&Ms.
No.
Yeah, no.
But the students had fun and it was a nice event. And then last but not least, attended the joint village board meeting that we had last Wednesday. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer. That ends my district administrator's report.
All right, any questions? All right, let's go on to our next item, our district showcase. This is always good, so.
Nothing tonight.
What?
I'm sorry, we had to table it. Sorry, my apologies.
Hey, Jay.
I know.
I thought everybody was, I thought we had something to do.
No, they're on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah, my apologies.
all right, well, I guess now we get down to, public comments. Does anyone in the audience that is in attendance right now, would they like to make a public comment? Again, it has to be an agenda item and it is a comment, not a question. And it is 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the chat?
No.
As usual, what I do is I'll give it 1 more minute just in case. I know I saw for the kids that won and stuff, it was on the Brown Deer the Brown Deer community page, everything, stuff like that or whatever.
Is that out there?
Well, you all be happy. The medallion was finally found.
Yes, it
Wow.
was. I'm so mad. We were over there for like an hour. So right when I got back, we come to the house. I was like, hey, let's go to the park. He said, are you kidding me?
I didn't understand why it was so hard. I'm like, this place is not this big.
I went to.
I need a picture of where
I
it
saw where it
was.
was.
Oh, where was it?
Okay, if
It
you're,
was-
you know where it was to go?
No, I just know where I thought it was based on.
Okay, well, if this, Kevin, you probably do know. Okay, well, if this is the entrance to like the pond, it was kind of like tucked this way, but not inside the pond, but like in this little bitty area between the building and that fence, that would be like the.
I looked there.
And they said it was like in a rung or something of a fence near the bottom.
Stop it, I was there.
That lady and her dog came over there and distracted me when I was over
Were you
there.
over there? I was right there.
All right, any comments? Anything?
Walk on the side, I walked all over the front.
I went over extensively.
All right, well, thank you. We'll go on and move on to our next item, is our consent agenda. Would someone like to make a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
Dr. Vito, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the April 9th, 2024 special board meeting, the April 23rd, 2024 regular board meeting, the schedule of voucher payments via ACH and wire transfers in the amount of $1,447,850.21 in the general checking account and the food service account, including funds 10, 21, 27, 39, 47, 49, 50, 72, and 80, and the May 28, 2024 school safety drill update
As presented tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Macon. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? You can see none. All in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can see none. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. Let's go on to our next item is our item 5A. Brown Deer Junior Women's Club donation.
Well, thank you.
I should probably be seeing a little better.
You said right here?
But it's all right.
Oh, we see you.
Oh, got it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carol Kroger, and tonight I'm here with my co-president of the Brown Deer Junior Women's Club. And our treasurer, Carolyn Mitchell, is in the back being the photographer. The Junior Women's Club was established in 1968 by a small group of determined women in order to work towards the betterment of our community. For example, did you know that juniors established the Brown Deer Library and initiated recycling in the village? Every year since then, we've also donated thousands of dollars to the Brown Deer community. Our small group of 31 determined women continues that tradition today. This year, our club is donating over $10,000 to numerous worthy causes in our community, including $5,750 to the Village of Brown Deer and $750 to other organizations outside of Brown Deer. We've also sponsored two continuing education scholarships to two ladies who you might be very familiar with. Allie Lester, the instructional coach from the elementary school, and your own Dorothea Macon. Tonight, we are thrilled to be here to present a check for $2,000 to the school district in order to fulfill teachers' wishes. We'd also like to present $1,500 to Mark Liebelt for the Brown Deer Education Foundation. Thank you.
Before you sit down, I didn't get your names for the record.
Carol?
I'll spell it.
Okay.
CRO.
Okay. E.G.
CROEG.
A.E.R.T. Yeah. What?
PhD.
Yeah.
Carolyn Mitchell.
And on the agenda, it said Brown Deer Women's Club, but we are the Junior Women's Club.
Okay, I got that.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to say that you all volunteered at the
Okay.
Resurrected Fun Fair this year, and we thank you for your support. I worked the table with both of you all, selling selling tickets. So thank you for helping out in that realm as well.
We can't do what we do without the help of you. You guys let us use your buildings, your tables, so it's a joint effort.
Okay. Yeah. On behalf of the board, we really appreciate everything that you do, and I know that the teachers are going to be very excited in order to have those dollars to be able to do some things or whatever for the students and everything. So again, on behalf of the board, we thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. All
We
right.
have to buzz out of here. We have a board meeting at 6:30.
All right, make sure you got your umbrellas with you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, let's go on to our next item. Oh, we got to. Oh, I'm so sorry. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the donation as presented?
Dr. Vito, I would like to make a motion to approve the Junior Women's Club donation as presented.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Outside of this is a wonderful partnership. All right, all in favor, raise hand and/or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. And hopefully they got some good pictures. All right, let's go on to our next item. It's to our business office update. Mr. Klimick.
Good evening, members of the board. My brief comments this evening, just kind of going through the memo that I provided you over the weekend. First of all, I did go through a surveillance call with Moody's, which is the bond rating service. This is the first time since I've been here that they've actually done a surveillance call where they call and ask questions on things. Otherwise, it's just been, here's the update. And just make sure there's nothing factually inaccurate with it. So I had about a half-hour conversation, very positive. They're going to get back to me on June 4th with their with the results. Possible will get upgraded. It's either going to be static or upgraded. We're in a positive space, so we'll just see what happens when that occurs, and that could impact. Bond rating is tied to interest rates. Would we ever have to borrow in the future? So, but always good news that we're in a positive financial condition.
Okay, just one quick one on what is A1 the highest rating?
No.
Isn't it like AAA?
AAA, yeah, we're and I said I did include out there, but it didn't. I don't remember if I did. I remember I mentioned I was going to do it. Oh, you know what? I didn't. I'll email it to you. There was a sheet that they give you all the different ratings. So we're so A1, then it gets into the AAA, so it's like AA3 and then AA2, A1. So we're at A1. The village is at A1, so it's not. We're still at very good. We're not at B or C or anything like that. There's actually A2, A3 that's below us. So we're considered, relatively low risk. It's in a good position, but it'd be nice to get up to that AA3 or AA2 rate at some point. All right. Regarding I just wanted to do a brief update on the Algonquin property. So I did meet last week with one of the potential developers that the village has mentioned. They shared their plans with what they were hoping to potentially do with the property. It's not a residential piece at all. It is something more of an activity space. And having those conversations, I will say that initial description or information, or I read into it, I was thinking maybe there was more of a potential partnership with the district directly. It doesn't sound like the business model supports that. So while I think it would be a community asset, I don't think the details of it are necessarily would drive your decision of whether or not to sell the property. I think the first decision for the board that is to determine whether that space is needed. And then if you were to decide to sell, then certainly that would be relevant. There just wasn't enough there, I think, to say absolutely like, well, this is a reason to do it. So what I just wanted to kind of set the table for is the board to consider, the future meeting, putting a discussion item on the agenda so that you can have a more thorough discussion as to whether or not, or what your options would be if you keep it, if you don't keep it, where we would potentially do future expansion. Because I think that's really the crux of the decision is the board comfortable with our campus as potential development if we needed to expand a building or add an additional building at some point, or do we want to keep the land as a potential safety valve in the event of development, in the event of growth in the village or whatever, or needs would change that we would want to have that space to be able to do something. So I think that's really the driving force. I think in all the cases, the village just would like to know, would like the board just to make a decision if it's like, if you decided, no, we're going to keep it, I think just sooner we let the village know, then they can at least let developers know that that property would not be under consideration for now. And then they could look at other parcels in the village, or if the decision is to sell, or potentially sell, then we can have more detailed discussions of what the use could be or what potential suitors would be.
So question, they said an indoor sports facility. So when they talk about a gym, where to play basketball, soccer, all the rest of those different things, kind of like a,
No, it's more, I want to be careful just because it hasn't been announced publicly yet. I don't want to give anything away. It's more focused than that. It's not just open space, but it's a little bit more limited probably in interest. So I don't know. I'm trying to be careful, like I said, just because there are confidentiality purposes right now from a public conversation. While I think their target is to attract community members and certainly impact underserved communities with access to such a facility, I just don't know that that's, again, I think if we felt like we needed the property in the future, what the purpose wouldn't make a difference. Right? That's what I was saying. So.
All right. I was just looking at it from the standpoint, would it be something if it were to happen that would also benefit the school district as well too, or whatever?
That was my
original
thought does it potentially replace something that we have, or we would have to maintain something else? And that doesn't seem to be the case because while we could potentially have limited access to it, it wasn't to the level that I thought maybe it would happen, which I think if that was the case, then it would be a different conversation where you're looking at maybe a larger financial benefit to the district. Again, perfectly sound idea, and I think it would have a lot of community value. But I think that's why I would just say from a district standpoint and from a board standpoint, I don't know that it's relevant to that decision. So you just have to well, like, let's figure out whether or not we feel it's necessary to keep, and then we could look at the options if the decision is to dispose of the property at some point.
I have a question for you, Kevin. For the children that are open enrolled, how many about did you say were in Brown Deer?
That are open enrolling in?
Or that live in Brown Deer but don't go to Brown Deer?
Right now we have about 250.
So if all 200 of those, 50 of those students came back, do we have room for them today?
It depends where, I don't know where they all fall. That wouldn't happen realistically, but even if a large chunk did, we could make it work, but I think that would limit itself in the
Do
future.
we have room if 250 students were to enter back into the district?
It'd be tough. It'd probably be tough. Again, depending on where they are, where they fall. I mean, certainly we've had, 50 more kids at the elementary school. It wasn't easier, but we have to be able to do it. I think the goal with the open enrollment piece is to, because again, as we mentioned before, and as I think, as Dr. Brown pointed out when we did our joint meeting last week, is that there are a number of students who've never actually been here. Like they may have lived in Milwaukee, moved to Brown Deer, and are just staying in the school that they were in because they can easily open enroll back into MPS. So I don't know that we'd ever get those kids, but I think the discussion is just making sure that the students we do have, we limit the number of folks who feel they need to open enroll out in the future so that that number will eventually start to dwindle. And maybe at some point, the open enrollment out will only be or mostly be students who are moving from another, families who are moving from another district and just finishing their final years, in their home district as opposed to relocating for students. That'd be our goal.
Just wanted to know.
Yeah, no, but and besides that, we also don't know, the village is looking at, other development opportunities that involve residential components. There's housing turnover. I saw a couple more houses go up on my block this week for sale. So, what happens with those, with those houses, and if, either seniors or families without children or children are graduating move out and families with young children move in, how does that impact us? So just have to see how that, all of those things can impact our overall enrollment. And then finally, I'll let you know, we've done teaching contracts are out and we're working on staff notice and assignment. Those will go out either by the end of this week or Monday. Just finalizing all the details on that. So we are making sure that we are getting all of our staff lined up for the 24-25 school year.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Clemming. Any questions for Kevin? All right, thank you very much. Let's go on to our item number C, our safety update. That be Matt?
Yes, sir. Good evening, board. How are you guys today?
Pretty good.
Wonderful. Just a quick little update, makes it short and sweet for you guys. As we are preparing for graduation, wanted to let you guys know that we're pretty well situated for all of the security purposes. We have Ben Dukes and his association going to be helping us out. We have Mr. Thomas and Ms. Kimber from our security services going to be helping out, and then we should be set at that point in time. I know that we're also going to be having eyes and ears from the Brown Deer Police Department as well to give us help with traffic control and all that other stuff. Shy of that, the only other update that I have for you is that we did the finalization of the sound control for the middle high school. We finally closed out that session. There's just one little small little thing that we're going to be doing that we didn't see coming, but it's not going to have anything to do with them other than having to connect a couple of wires at a board. So shy of that, we are all set at the middle high school as far as the door security is concerned and the glass in the middle high school or middle school.
All right, two questions in relationship to graduation. I think number one, are we as a board, are we parking? Didn't we say we're parking down here on the bottom?
Yes, you're parking down here behind the
Okay. All right, and right here, we're going right where the people come in for the track.
But
Okay.
not by the track, behind the building.
Behind the building, yeah. Okay, and then the second thing is, are we, and I don't know, Dr. Kelsey Brown, if you have mentioned this before, are we still continuing to do the video and everything like in the commons area or whatever have you for that?
Live streaming for everybody.
Okay, so it's almost gonna be like a Zoom?
It'll be on YouTube.
And we've sent all that information out to parents and community members, so anybody that wants to see it, know to go to YouTube and it'll be live. Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, any other questions for Matt? I did see in here that you, about the, our tornado and our fire drill stuff. So we ended up to May? Was that on here, up to May?
We should be.
I thought we were on there.
Because the one that I just saw in this packet or whatever, I think it went up to May. That we had everything up to May. Yeah, like the elementary school is up for the evacuation one, up to May, the middle high school. Did it up to April, so we still need to get May. Tornado drills are done. The lockdowns have completed drill 1 and 2 at the elementary school, only 1 at the middle school and everything and stuff. So I just wanted to make sure we've got, we're on target to make sure that we get those done. Okay. Board, any other questions for Matt?
Just in terms of numbers, what is the, kind of the approximate numbers that we're expecting on Saturday for graduation? And
That I can't tell you. I don't know how many.
It's the capacity of the gymnasium is 2,500. What's the capacity of the field house?
The capacity of the field house is 2,300 and like 82 or something.
The students get 10
We
tickets.
have 100, right? We have about 140 graduates. Each one receives 10 tickets. And then they also have an opportunity to purchase additional tickets starting May 31st, if they so choose. It's over time. We never fill up the field, it's never at full capacity. So if they want to bring more family members, they'll be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out when he gave the numbers of the security and people who were just kind of, working the security detail. Whether the numbers are appropriate for the numbers of people that you're expecting.
Parking has been the issue for
Right.
us. There's certainly damage to the grounds because people tend to park on wherever they feel they want to. So unfortunately, there aren't many people online tonight, but I would encourage everyone to park only in designated asphalt spots. And having the additional staff available will help to, hopefully mitigate it so that people won't be able to park where they want. I mean, we have spots here, we have spots at the elementary school, the parking lot on Dean. We have access to the churches on the corners. It will probably spill in the neighborhood a little bit, which, happens on those big events, but just try to keep it so that, especially with all the rain we're getting out this week, the ground's going to be soft. And so we don't want a bunch of car divots everywhere that we.
We're going to try and these 2 driveways for the field house parking lot is once they're full, close block them.
Yep.
So there's no entry point to this parking lot unless someone who has a disability, which we want to be mindful of. We were also leaning toward having someone drive the vans from the elementary school up to the field house, but the vans will be used for the state track meet that day, so they're not available.
Okay.
So just try to accommodate everyone to the greatest extent possible.
And then the doors will be locked right at 3 o'clock then, nobody will be allowed in.
No late entry.
We talked about that at the last meeting.
And so the idea is there will be late entry once all of the graduates are in the field house and are seated.
Okay, so but the
Doors will
not-
close.
They'll close, they will, so while people are processing in, people in their respective positions, when things are settled and program is underway, then you're gonna let people in then after that? Okay.
So I have a question too about parking. The last time I was here for an event, I received a $30 ticket. Because there was no space to park and the grass is where everybody parks on the weekend. So that's where everybody parks. Well, it's a little different place, but is it going to be properly labeled and is it going to say tickets will be issued so that people know like this isn't a parking space? Tickets will be issued. Like I think that should be posted so people know and understand, because you have been to a Brown Deer event, you park on the grass when there's nothing else.
This is what we're trying to, because what happens is
We're actually going to take the back part
Not a
of
parking.
the back part of the building. We're gonna actually be cutting that off to the general public. And then we're going to be having security at all 3 driveways, and once we have the AOK that this parking lot is full, we're going to be cutting off all public access to it and guiding people into the areas in which is the best for them.
That's perfect.
Do we maybe
Including the
have, including the row as a parking lot? We have the church, we have the row, we have the middle school parking lot downstairs, we have the elementary school, we have the parking lot. Then we have the streets, of course, we know individuals park on the streets. What I've never understood is why anyone thinks it's okay to park on our grass. When you go to other school districts, they're not parking on their grass. So it's been a thing for me. Because what happens is our grass is worn down, and that's a maintenance piece. You gotta seed it, you gotta sod, I mean, you gotta do all these things that just creates opportunities for us to spend more money. When that's not what we want. And we also want our grounds to look just as nice as anyone else's grounds. So,
Do we have any event parking signs to show people, like, before they even get over here, there's a big sign that says event parking here or anything like that?
We have in the past, I don't know where, we've ran into problems where some of the signs have disappeared. And they come up and they're beat up and stuff like that. We did purchase some signs that said that, parking lot is full with arrows and stuff like that, so.
I think if we had the big, I forget what they're called, the sandwich board signs, that we could have strategically placed so that if there are people who aren't familiar with the district, they know, hey, here's a spot, or hey, you can go here.
The staff will help, the staff will be able to help too. I think as they pull out, you could say if there's additional parking down Dean, you can, point them in here.
I mean, I've been here for events and people park where it says no parking. So I don't know what kind of sign's gonna help that because it clearly says no parking and along those 4 cars here and in front of that, people park there all the time. So if they can't read a sign that says no parking, I contend nothing's gonna happen. I mean, seriously?
I think that properly labeled signs for the event will be helpful to show people where to park, to let them know that these areas will be ticketed. Please stay off the grass. I think the more you tell people, the better they will react. So if you tell people, don't park here, they won't park there with the sign, with the person. I think it's very important for us as a district when we're hosting something that we don't bring people here to give them tickets. I was very unhappy going to the Brown Police Department for a ticket for coming to an event that was full. So I think that as long as we're putting that out there, I think that, you and me and our families will park properly.
It probably won't eliminate it totally, but it'll help.
I mean, the problem with graduation is every year it's a different crowd.
Exactly.
They're not all Brown Deer folks and they're coming
Right.
because a senior that they know is here. And so they come once every whatever, so.
Exactly.
So it's a constantly changing.
And it's the same thing if we're having tournaments and things like that. So that's why if we had signs that we could use when we have events to help better direct people, that could be helpful.
All right, so,
Put those little things out, those little poles, like to keep them from flying,
No, I'm talking about something more sturdy that we can reuse over and over.
I understand what you're saying. How about a big sign at the entrance that says only park in a parking spot? I think that could cover it. I mean, park in a spot.
That tells me what to do here. That doesn't tell me that I can go down the block and turn there and
I
park.
got that part, but to put up a sign that says don't park on the grass, to me is redundant. You don't park on grass. If you go to Homestead, do people park on their grass? If you go to Whitnall, do people park on their grass? I just don't understand the problem.
I don't even think this is a don't. It's just a go here, not don't go there, but go here.
People are used to parking on the grass, just we'll put
That doesn't
those
make it
little
right.
cute, flags up, so you can't access.
all right, so I think we're covered with this now. So don't park on the grass. Everybody is understood, don't park on the grass. Okay.
Ain't nobody on there.
All right, let's go on to our next item, approval of new hires.
I want to thank the principals and my HR staff, Trina Jackson, who've been racing through these as fast as we can get them. We have 6 teachers that we have hired for 24-25 school year. Danielle Moen will be a 1st grade teacher. Angela Sterling will be a 4th grade teacher. Michael Euquelsius. It's like Celsius. I had to double check how to say that one. I want to make sure that Euquelsius a social studies teacher at the middle school, Logan Mans, a math teacher at the middle school, Kyle Tierney, a math teacher at the middle school, and Brianna Johnson, a high school.
All right, would someone like to make a motion for the hires? Now, I think what I was gonna say, what you can do is just say the name and what if they're doing the elementary school, and then at the very end, effective date, August 26th. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Danielle Moen as an elementary school teacher and the hiring of Angela Sterling as an elementary school teacher. Also approve the hiring of a Michael Bakulikias as middle school social studies teacher. Also the approval of hiring of Logan Mance as a middle school math teacher. The hiring of Kyle Tierney as a middle school math teacher, and a motion, excuse me, to approve the hiring of Brianna Johnson as high school math teacher, all effective August 26, 2024 for the 2024-2025 school year.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and/or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. So we'd like to go ahead and welcome Danielle, Angela, Michael, Logan, Kyle, and Brianna to the Brown Deer family. All right, let's go on to our next item, approval of resignations. Mr. Clement.
We do have 5 more resignations, some of which you replaced a few moments ago, so we're working on that. They include Madeline Arneson, a first grade teacher, Catherine Marina, a first grade teacher, Eric Newman, 8th grade math teacher, Samantha Spelker, our middle school STEM teacher, and Carlos Alba, high school. All effective June 7th.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clement. Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the resignation of Madeline Arneson as an elementary school teacher, Catherine Marine as an elementary school teacher, Eric Newman as a middle school math teacher, Samantha Spelker as a middle school STEM teacher, and Carlos Alba as a high school English teacher, effective June 7th, 2024.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Farrington. Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Bacon. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Discussion will be like, I'd just like to thank those individuals for being part of Brown Deer and being part of the Brown Deer family, and once a Falcon, always a Falcon. So with that being said, all in favor with raise hand, all in favor with raise hand or aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? And seeing that, motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, let's go on to item number F, approval of employment agreements. Mr. Clement.
We just have a handful of agreements that are separate from the administrator contract, where they're kind of teaching contract, but not around the 200-day or some other kind of schedule. So those include Tina Jackson, our human resources manager, Eric Jeffries, our network administrator, Catherine Kelser, our district accountant, Rebecca Thiesfeld, our school psychologist, and Jennifer Tracy, the K-12 lead. Those are all 1 year.
So all these are 1 year contracts?
Yep.
Okay. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the employment agreement. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. The employment agreement for Katrina Jackson as the human resource manager for the 2024-25 school year. The employment agreement for Eric Jeffrey as a network administrator, for Catherine Kessler as the district accountant, Rebecca Thiesfeld as school psychologist, and Jennifer Tracy as a K-12 literacy coordinator, all for the 2024-25 school year.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Macon. Motion has been made. Do we have a second? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I just noticed on one of the agreements, everybody had a title with the exception of one, and I can't remember who that.
The last one.
Jennifer Tracy?
No, literacy had that title on. There was one contract in that.
It's on the contract, it's not at the top.
It's just not at the top.
It's not at the-
It is. It's
But it's on the top.
Right, but everybody had their name, their position,
except that one.
except that one.
Okay.
And I don't remember which one it was.
But there's nothing that we need to do from an HR standpoint because it's already on there. It's actually on the contract itself.
And it is Jennifer Tracy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All
I
right.
just mentioned that she's Kate Bell, literacy coordinator in section.
The second one, but at the top.
At the very top, it's not on there.
All right. All right. All in favor, raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's in there. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. So we've now for our 1-year contracts for our staff. All right.
And I should have said this before, but those numbers all include their increase in 24-25. So that's with what you approved last board meeting, those figures for them. So.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to our item G. Mr. Clement.
This was something I was working on over the weekend and then today was today as well, but I dropped it in front of you on your desk. The fiscal 23, the 23-24 financial update. Also posted, we did post the treasurer's report. Treasurer's report, you see that every month. That's based on the end of April. So that's all the financial entries that we've done through April 30th. But the other thing that I do kind of on a more regular basis is I have this other set of like dashboards that I monitor through Skyward to kind of see where different departments are. So I don't look at it necessarily as just fund and object like we show you for the treasurer's report. That's helpful. It shows kind of where the money's spending, but I'm also looking kind of on that department level. And so I did provide you with the update, this information as of yesterday. So it includes both looking at our departments, which can include building budgets, activity budgets for those buildings, or the various other departments such as the business office, facilities and grounds, teaching and learning, et cetera. And kind of shows you where we're at with our budget fiscal year to date, any numbers that are encumbered at this point and are basically ready to be spent, and then kind of showing where we are currently with our plus minus in those various departments. So again, spending, we do put in a spending deadline of the middle of March for most things, but there are a lot of there are some end of the year expenses that come up. We're arranging field trips, the final field trips of the school year and things like that. They're not necessarily booked in March. So there's a few expenses that are still running through. So these numbers will shift a little bit, but I believe most of them will be pretty positive. There are some departments like mine, the business office of facilities and grounds, that will continue to spend just because I still do transportation, the regular transportation. Anything else that comes up for our department, we're still buying supplies and other things for cleaning for facilities and grounds. So those two will continue to creep up a little bit, but this is a pretty positive place to be at this point of the year. We're about a month out, and then whatever final things that we have to encumber for the end of the year. So I feel like we're in pretty good shape from a department level. And I did share some notes underneath the chart, kind of start on the second page. Just mentioning to you that, again, most of those departments are currently in the budget and will probably remain so at the end of the year. Facilities and grounds, to be fair to that department, ever since I've been here, it's been one that's been a challenge to accurately budget for, just because things do happen and things do come up. And so I'm trying to work on continuing to right size it and make sure it's suitably budgeted for, that we have enough money in there to deal with those unforeseen things. Now this year we did have some expenses that are in there, which is part of the reason why it's over. We did add that extra security personnel. We don't have our HVAC with Matt's original role when he was hired. That position we've been having difficulty finding a replacement for that position. So we've been having to rely on contract services. So the money from the staffing side shifts into the purchase services side to kind of cover that spend, throws that budget off a little bit. We did have a larger than anticipated contract for snow removal that we had. That was a pretty significant jump. And then we are spending additional money related to the COPS grant. Now, again, the COPS grant will have revenue that offsets it. So there's still, if that will change a little bit, but just show you that there's a little bit more fluid. We also have the baseball field, redo and things like that weren't necessarily budgeted for, that we worked through there. So, but we will have a couple other things. We will be moving some utility costs out of Fund 10. That's part of the Clockworks agreement that we have. So they have calculated on a monthly basis what our utility costs are tied to our kitchen. We'll move those into Fund 50. That's part of our Fund 50 spend down. So some of that will disappear from Fund 10 and slide into a fund that you don't necessarily track that closely.
Yeah, I guess my question, okay, I kind of understand the facilities and grounds because stuff happens, stuff breaks down. I kind of get that. How do we almost end up $100,000 over in technology? Well, I know we talked about technology forwards and backwards before we did the budget last year, and everything that Ms. Turner said that she needed, more Chromebooks or laptops and this, that, and the other thing. So how are we almost $100,000 over?
Part of it is, as I mentioned in the summary, we did have a large increase in our common school fund allotment. That's a decision that's made in April. So I budgeted $60,000 in revenue for common school funds. It actually turned out to be over $100,000. So part of that increase is she's spending the money for the common school fund. This is the state board of the state land board, which collects, when we borrow from the like the state trust fund, that interest goes into this common school fund, which goes back to libraries, school libraries. And so based on the amount of money that they earn in a given year, they give it back. And so our allotment changes. So again, we haven't adjusted the budget yet, but she wanted to make sure she spent the money. So that's going up a little bit, adjust the budget. So that overage will disappear.
So this expense is being offset by revenue.
By additional revenue, correct. Right. And then the other thing is I'm still wrestling with the whole accounting piece for the leases. That's where we see those large expenses that are being tied as the leases, the copier lease depreciates. So I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding how that affect the budget differently for that. So that's the other reason why that's over a bit. So again, I'm not as a whole. Kara does a very good job managing her budget. She's probably on right now. So we did have a couple of things we're just kind of working through to adjust, but I'm not worried about the overspending on her part. So.
So then it's the overage for superintendent because of our search?
I was just gonna ask you that same question.
No, there's some other expenses that are in there. I can give you, if you need a detailed expense of what is in there, there were some extra charges, I think, for the strategic planning, the second phase we went through last year that were part of that. There were some things in payments to CISA that were a little higher.
CISA 6 expenditures are in there. And all of the superintendent budget line is a combination of superintendent and board.
Board, some of the board stuff's in there as well, yeah.
In one line. Gotcha.
So we do, and again, I do look at it and I know that sometimes when I know we're going over, or sometimes I know when we're having a positive year, if somebody needs to go over, knowing that it'll get, covered somewhere else, I don't say no just to say no. So we work through it. And just as I ask the buildings and the departments to, if they want to shift money, like we're not spending it over here, we want to do it over here, and this line goes up and this line is under, that's fine. I do the same thing at the district level, because I don't need to just, if we need things, we need them. So I want to make sure we do, so.
I guess the last one is Dr. Glass and Ms. Ramos. Okay, I see you guys are kind of under in your departments or whatever have you. You guys got everything that you needed to get the job done?
Haven't made our new textbook purchase.
Okay. Ms. Ramos?
I had some vacancies that will be filled.
Okay. I kind of figured, my biggest thing, I kind of figured it was probably more along the lines of staffing or something like that, or major purchases or whatever stuff. So I just wanted to make sure, because I know that SPED is actually one of those departments that's actually growing and stuff because of the needs of our students and stuff, and where we're trying to go from a teaching and learning standpoint, where we're trying to take the district or whatever and stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that, there's some places where we can save a nickel or whatever and stuff, but, in some aspects or whatever, I want to make sure that we're doing the things to be able to move our students to that next level.
I would say with SPED particularly, and it's SPED and pupil services, so there is an element of things that we're doing for pupil services that we've kind of been building that a little bit over the last couple of years as that the need has grown. But I would say special education is another area that I think had a lot of line items. And if you go back to my previous budgets, you will see that invariably special education underspends what the budget is because of some of those purchase services, equipment, other things. So what you're seeing here is actually a little lower than normal, because what has happened is because of some of the staffing openings we've had to go to purchase services. So at the middle high school, we had a speech and language pathologist quit right at the beginning of the school year. we weren't able to replace her. And so we're using contracted services for that. So that frees up money in the staffing line when you see that in a second, but it goes into purchase services. So it gets eaten up in this part. So we're just seeing a shift probably of where some of that money has been sitting. So I will continue to work with Ms. Ramos. I just want to make sure that we are accurately budgeting, because again, as we're going into this deficit budget, I want to make sure we pull back, if there's extra pad in the budget in certain areas that we don't really need it to be in there, let's make sure it's allocated correctly. So we're going to work.
So ladies, as long as you guys feel good about it and everything.
And are you looking to purchase curriculum yet in this fiscal year, or will you be purchasing it at the start of the new fiscal year in July?
This year, we're doing the textbook adoption as a result of Act 20.
Well, we won't be doing it though until next fiscal year.
Until
It is at the new fiscal.
Right now, and so we're still, and I'll get to that, but one of those things is that like whether we use ESSER dollars to pay for it immediately, because we could, if we have $100,000 or $200,000 textbook purchase, we could. What is it?
It's like more.
The 200, close to that.
So we still have ESSER, how much do we have left in ESSER funds?
We haven't, I'm holding claiming a little bit until I kind of see where we want it to be, because that's, again, part of the whole thing with the surplus is, yes, your expenses are down, so how much revenue do you want to, we want to bring all of our revenue in and have a huge surplus and then have a larger deficit next year, or do you want to hold some back? Because again, ESSER dollars can be used after July 1st till September 30th for one-time purchases. Like if you want to buy curriculum, perfect reason to do it, or to hold it back. You don't want to use it for staffing because it's only going to carry through September 30th. So we could use that. We could hold back on some title funding. So we're gonna look at all those things. So, so this is basically.
Let me just add on the special ed side of the house, we move into the next biennium, right? We start advocating for dollars from the state.
Yes.
The advocacy on the side of special education to get us up to, 12,000. You all know we don't get the money that we really need to service our special education students. So I just want to put on the table when that advocacy time comes for the next biennium to push for, hopefully the state will do better or do right by school districts all across the state and giving us additional dollars to better meet the needs of our special, or to continue to meet the needs of our special education students as their needs as the numbers increase over time and their needs continue to increase as well. So I just wanted to put that out there, knowing that we have whatever this $1 billion is sitting in the state coffers. Just kind of sitting there.
Get the millions of interest every.
Correct.
All right. So I just wanted to clarify. So again, when you look at the department budgets, I'm focusing on objects 3 for the most part. There is a little bit of salaries in here for certain stipends and things, but for the most part, you're looking at objects 300 to 900. Both that group where you're talking about purchase services, non-capital or capital expenses, and those sorts of things, and dues and fees at the 900s. It's that group. It isn't the 100s to 200s, which is salary benefits. That's mostly covered in the second chart. So if you go and we scroll down then to the staffing piece. So this one I do a little bit differently because I know who's in the staffing, I know who's in each group, and I know how much we pay everybody every paycheck, and I know how many paychecks we have left, so I can project out to the most part as to what should happen. I think an error or something miraculously happening. So right now, if you look, again, I'm doing it by school, by district. District would include anybody at the ASC, a couple of the employment contracts you just approved. Things like that. We do have our SPED and pupil services teachers and other staff members, custodians, athletics, and then some miscellaneous. Miscellaneous also includes the board, how we pay them. So when you look at this in total, so then when you look at this in total, you'll see a number of areas where we're under budget. Again, a lot of these cases, and I highlight them in the bullet points below, we've had a number of positions that have been open for either all of the year or a good chunk of the year. And then we do have some variances with absences or FMLA or some other things. Our hourly staff, especially the educational assistant group, which we have about 25 of them across the district, they're paid when they come to work, and if they don't come to work for some reason, those numbers are down, or that's an area we have a lot of turnover, so we might have somebody and then we might have a couple of weeks vacancy while we're trying to fill that void. So there's some savings when that happens. So I hate to say this number out loud, but right now I'm projecting about $1 million savings under the staffing side. I think that will fill in a little bit, but so if the other one ends up either flat or up a little bit and not, so I mean, I think we're still looking at a fairly significant potential surplus. Again, the question then comes in, how much revenue do we want to claim? If we want to claim it for this year or we want to hold off a little bit, and then that surplus will come down. So it's part of just the game of how we want this year to end. So we'll look at that as we get into June, and we can even, we can do claiming in July and backdate it to June, so we can kind of see where we actually are and then make a determination. I think one of the questions will be if we have an Act 20 decision that's made and we know what the cost might be and figure out what makes the most sense, whether it's something we pay for out of ESSER funding or fund balance or whatever the case may be. The challenge with the Act 20 piece, there's two pieces that I'll be balancing is, one is that the ESSER dollars, we need to make sure we hit, which we should be able to hit, but just to be safe. We have that 20% holdback for evidence-based instructional strategies, which would be curriculum purchases. So we throw that in there, we know we'll be 100% perfectly fine with that qualification. On the other hand, if we don't do that and we use fund balance, there is a promise from the legislature that we could get refunded up to 50% of the cost of the Act 20, whatever we have to purchase for Act 20 in a couple of years.
Right.
So, and it's up to 50%. So again, it's a balancing act. We know whether we would get the money later or not. So we'll look at all of that. So then if you drop down then to the summary, as I mentioned, we'll look at our revenue and figure out, what we want to do, how we want our final grant claims to come in, whether we hold some money and roll it into next year. Again, having additional title funding or IDA funding or things like that will add additional revenue potentially for next year, which could lower what deficit we're looking at. We do also have two other positive things regarding fund balance that I wanted to share with you. One is just a reminder that the budget, as you passed, had $145,000 surplus in it already. Remember, we were trying to get to 241 because that was the amount of the tax levy chargeback that we had to do the year before. So we were trying to at least get back to that point. So we didn't want to spend that on a recurring basis, not knowing. I mean, you never want to spend that money on something ongoing. So we already budgeted $145,000 surplus. We also have an accounting thing we're going to do as an adjustment, working with our auditors. We had some money sitting in fund balance for Fund 38 years, which is our non-referendum debt fund. It serves no purpose because we have no referendum debt. So we're going to move that to Fund 10 this year. That's another $103,000, $104,000. So that's more. Those two things in and of themselves are more than the 241. It'll be about $260,000. So all of the money you're seeing in these other charts that we're talking about as potential surplus is on top of that. So it's possible that we could be approaching $7 million of fund balance at the end of this fiscal year, which then if you have to do a $800,000 or $700,000 deficit, you'll basically do where we're sitting right now. You may end up at the end of next year being right where we are, which then is kind of a wash. So that's what we're balancing out to get to.
Okay, I do have a question about the athletics. Mm-hmm. Is there a way for us to kind of eliminate that almost 116,000 uprooted?
I have noticed that there might be some coding issues, not to the level of 115,000 of whether there's an advisor account at the high school that's not really being touched. And I want to make sure what's all in this account. But we have seen an increase in the cost of athletics. So whether it's I have to go in a little deeper to see if we haven't changed pricing. I mean, we haven't done a full scale upgrade of the salary schedule for athletics. But when we do add other groups and things like that require advisors, it's included in those costs. And then just game day costs are getting higher. So when we have ticket takers and other things, if we host events, things like that those costs are included as well. So I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive with Gerald over the summer to kind of see where that is. It went up last year as well. I'm just trying to get a handle on what that looks like.
And I think it's Act 20 that,
Act 20, right?
yeah. So you said when we have a decision, when, I've heard that a few times. What's the ETA on that?
Yeah, they're working through the proposal.
Well, hopefully we'll have it by tomorrow morning. We sent out 2 surveys. The first survey only had 8 responses and 1 team response. And I did not want to make a decision that would affect all of those grade level with 8 responses. Another survey went out, similar data response. And so tomorrow we're actually going in the PLCs to have live data collection. So we'll survey the people in person versus sending an email.
Regardless of how it's paid for, the purchase will be paid after July 1st because it'll be for next year. So we're just waiting, once the team figures out which of the 4 curriculum options that have been provided to us by DPI, we will make the, then we can determination and we'll place an order and then we'll decide, determine what the best way is of paying for it.
All right.
So that'll impact the. I will also mention just because we've had this conversation and I think it's ridiculous, but the screener issue, which is the other one that DPI is talking about, which right now for us is FastBridge. They are looking to implement a universal screener across the state. They haven't said for sure when they're going to tell us. Now we have a contract with FastBridge that's due July 1st to renew for next year. And so, we're sitting here talking about the fact that, okay, so the state and this new screener is supposed to be implemented by January 1st. So if we have to switch to another screener, am I supposed to pay for one screener? Because if DPI is delayed in telling us when they determine what the screener is, and if it isn't FastBridge, then there's implementation costs of moving to that. There's training costs. So that's a whole other, if it's FastBridge, it's wonderful because we're already there. But we don't know. And to me, I would be saying I'd be wondering why they would make us work on this schedule where it's, a January thing. If they can't make a decision now, then they should wait a year, and let us.
I can tell you, there's no strategy.
Well, so that could be another piece of the Act 20 that will be an unanticipated cost if they end up, forcing us to a different.
To date, they have communicated that they're looking to have some type of communication about that screeners as of July 15th. So,
which I guess is after July 1st. So we either delay paying the bill, to FastBridge, potentially shutting down if they're going to do any work over the summer, or we pay it and then we may end up having a second screener, which isn't making sense. So.
Have you asked FastBridge about leniency with the date?
You don't have to do that. It's just a matter of not paying the bill, and they'll just keep sending you reminders. There's no penalty. It's not like a $50 late fee.
Well, you got to sign a new contract though, right?
Right. The issue though is that, if it isn't FastBridge's business model collapses. So, they will, I don't know what their option will be. Anybody, however DPI decides how to handle this, every school district in the state of Wisconsin is whether it's FastBridge or STAR or MAPS or whatever they pick, that's going to be the big winner, and everybody else is going to be, that part of their business model will be out of business. So they're trying to get as much as possible. And obviously if they're winning, I also don't want them to, when they announce that they're the winner, double their price because they know that everybody has to, so it's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah. I did, this is Kara. I did have I did have a conversation with FastBridge, and they totally understood. So, I asked if I could get a month extension, and I said I don't want to be recalcitrant in our financial responsibilities or our contract, and they got it completely. So they know and understand the position we're in. So the strategy is, as Kevin stated, and Dr. Glass too, is we're just going to delay paying the bill until we find out. So.
Hopefully it happens on July 15th and it doesn't get delayed longer and longer. That's the trickier part, is that in August, and so and staff's coming back, we have to make a decision what to do. So.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Kevin?
That's my general looking at it in this way, shape, or form. If there are any questions about anything, I'll continue to update you what it looks like as we get into June, and update you as to how this year is closing up. But I would say right now it's looking very positive. One way or another, either we'll be having money set aside to do things next year in next year's budget, or we'll be spending the money or doing it this year and having a, potential argument on that.
Good report, Kevin. Thank you.
All right. All right, let's go on to our next item is our item I, because we just covered G and H, correct?
Well, H is 30 seconds, because actually I spent all my time on G, because the reality is that everything is so fluid right now, because as you notice in the hiring, people are coming, people are going. We're still working through it. So I don't have a lot to update, other than I can just tell you, one thing I do know is we did get the final number for our open enrollment uncounted pupils in my budget that I presented to you in the revenue limit worksheet. I had $150,000. It's actually $174,000. So we will get, that's $24,000. Yay, additional revenue for next year. That much I do know, but the rest of it is still very fluid. So I will work on making some adjustments and putting additional information and hopefully have a draft more on the format of what you're looking for the both June meetings, and give you updates on where we are. But yeah, there just has been so many things changing. It's impossible to keep up at this point to give you an accurate assessment of need. So.
Sure. All right, thanks. Let's go on to our next item, board vacancy update. All of the information is out there. We have been getting some applications from individuals for that. It's going to close on June 7th. And from there, what we'll do is we'll start to get those individuals together and start to do interviews. All right. So like I said before, we do have individuals that have applied and submitted their information. Right now I've got 4. All right. Okay, let's go on to item J, new superintendent transition.
Yes, as I indicated in my district administrator's report, Dr. Cotton was with us on May 17th, part of the meet and greet with our staff at the elementary, middle, and high school. I do have a end of year retreat scheduled, conducting some equity training with our district administrators and building administrators on June 14th. We have Judge Derek Mosley coming in to talk to us about implicit unconscious bias. And Donna's reaching out to Dr. Cotton's administrative assistant to see if she'll be able to join on that Friday.
What day did you say it was?
June 14th, we're meeting off campus offsite at CG Schmidt. They always allow us to use their facility off of Bradley Road. We'll have lunch at noon, and then Judge Mosley will join us at 1:00. So stop by if you're there.
That's a really great session. I did it a couple months ago.
And ultimately, I'll talk to Dr. Cotton, move it to the ASC staff and out to the building staff.
All right. Next item is item K, discussion and approval of the pupil non-discrimination self-evaluation. Is that Ms. Ramos?
Yes, it is.
All right.
I completed our evaluation and went through the 8 components, the 8 areas with our findings and summaries. That is a 20-page evaluation there. Once it's approved by the board, it will be presented live on our website. What I did find was that there were some discrepancies, not in our practices, but how we report them. So we will be adding on our webpage, on each page you land on at the bottom, our policies, our non-discrimination policies. So policy 2260, 2260D, 226001, 2266, and 5517 will be added to our website. I will send the report to DPI, and then our report will also be live. I will be taking out some links because I have student information on there. So I will make that a little bit more anonymous. And that will be for the scholarship section. Brown Deer does not provide scholarships, but we do track the scholarships in our students.
Question, is there any of these changes or additions or whatever happened that the board actually needs to approve those actual changes?
Those are already our board policies that I went through.
Okay, I just didn't know and stuff because you were saying that there were some things that we needed to add, so I wanted
Not on
to.
our webpage for easy access.
Okay.
But now they will.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarification. All right,
And so I do need board approval to submit this to TPI.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the pupil non-discrimination self-eval?
I make a motion to approve the pupil non-discrimination self-evaluation as presented.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Motion has been made and seconded. Any other further discussion? Hearing seen none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing seen none, motion carries 7-0. All right, let's go on to our next item is our Neola policy updates, first reading. All right, there were a number of things in here. It was only one, well, it's the first reading or whatever. Did anybody see anything in here that they thought that they were, had questions in relationship to?
Get back to my notes.
Mine was one.
5610.
Suspension and expulsion.
That's the one where guardian was taken out of that policy. Is there a reason why that was removed and only having parents there?
Donna, what part is that in the board document is the explanation? Can't remember the drop down.
56.
The
principal, I think you might have the wrong one.
I was the wrong one.
Yeah, because 5610 is suspension and expulsion.
The explanation is.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, but it's talking about the principal, that word and its usage.
Are you all looking at the summary or the actual policy?
We're looking at the summary, the overview that was.
So on the actual policy, it has guardian crossed out.
Do you know, Monica, was there a specific reason why?
It's in the explanation. I can't remember everything that came through all of these policies. What I'll do is I'll go back and look at the explanation that Neola gave to us. And I'll have it to you by the time their second reading comes around. You can understand why that was taken out. Off the top of my head, I honestly am unable to remember.
Because I know it's not always the guardian who is present with the student. It's not always a parent, I'll say, sometimes a guardian. And then
In our case, generally speaking, we always get, generally speaking. I can't even remember when I had a guardian.
I can remember guardians before.
I think
So Donna,
guardians are more, they're so fluid. You know what I'm saying? Like a guardian could be assigned. Guardian, some folks can be assigned guardianship, but that can, if I'm interpreting it correctly, if somebody petitioned the court and challenged the guardianship, they could do it, right? Like, it's not like a parent and then you can just have your parental rights terminated. The guardianship is a little bit more, I think, fluid, but don't.
So I'm thinking in terms of someone having an older sibling representing them versus their parent.
Oh, we got a brother one time.
All right, so Monica, you're gonna, Dr. Kelly Brown, you're gonna check into that one for us?
Yes, we'll just send you an email to help you understand why it was taken out.
And then the other one is 8120. One thing that I noticed in that one is for the volunteer policy, there was a line that was stricken out. The district administrator shall also ensure that each volunteer is properly informed of the district's appreciation of their time and efforts consisting in operations. I get if maybe that's not the district administrator, but I don't understand why we would take that out of policy altogether.
I'll go back and take a look at it.
Okay.
So there's my places. I think that, I don't know that we've ever done that. So we struck it.
And I would think that we would want to tell our volunteers that we appreciate their time.
Well, I know, but the language, I mean, you're talking about like a written response to that, is it like, thank, you know, like,
Thank people all the time.
yeah, I mean, whether it's a verbal, hey, thanks for volunteering, that's one thing, but in policy, are you expecting to have some kind of formal response to every volunteer? That might be what that could suggest.
It doesn't say in writing.
No, but if the district administrator is ensuring that everyone, each volunteer is properly informed of the district's appreciation.
So like I said, I get if it's not the administrator that does it, but I would think that somebody would.
I think you run the risk of someone there's so many volunteers that come through this district. We do it when we remember it, when we're reminded of it, sit down and write a thank you note or send an email. Hey, like the team that just came today, hey, thank you all so much. But you run the risk of you're going to miss somebody because it's just hard to track every single volunteer that comes through our district and then be reminded. Not that we don't do it. Right. I'm saying you run the risk of you're going to miss somebody, not intentionally. Yes. Not intentionally by any means, but when it's in policy, it's saying that it will, that's what you will do. I mean, we recognize, say thank you to our advisory partners. We provide tokens of appreciation for them showing up on our December event. We send thank you emails to, we do it when we're conscious of it. This right here says, you will do this. So you have to be mindful of if we miss, it'll be a challenge.
And my only other question was 8407, that school resource officer program, and I think being revised or whatever and stuff, just basically saying that, like, because it's Officer Olick. Who's Officer Olick, right? So technically then the only way, according to this, the only way he can discipline somebody is if the district administrator or staff say, hey, you need to take this person to the Brown Deer Police Department, to the station or whatever.
Which is how we operated since I've been here.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I was trying to, was there actually a major change to that? I didn't think it actually was a big change.
He always
Maybe that was.
moves at the direction of administration.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure, especially in light of some of these other things that we've had kind of going on or whatever, I want to make sure about that one.
Okay, we should probably strike out policy 0144.3, conflict of interest, which really talks about volunteer bus drivers over here. So we should strike that out.
Why?
Because it's not supposed to be in this. Look at your paper.
Well, I know, but I see it in here though. About a school board member could be a volunteer, could be a bus driver.
It's listed in two places, but the heading says conflict of interest. Revised. I just asked Kevin, he said.
I thought they were trying to say it was not a conflict of interest. It's not a conflict of interest.
So that one I can tell you about.
No, but if you look at the list of policies that are being revised, that's not one of them. Like,
That's what I'm saying, strike.
Well, you don't have to strike anything, because it's on the summary list, 01433, right? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Board conflict of interest. It's saying it's been revised on the summary.
Right, what it's saying is school board members can be.
But
it's not on.
It's on the list of here are the ones that are being revised, so that might be an error.
Okay, all right.
You have 100, 122, 171.3, you don't have that one.
Right.
Yeah, but it's listed in here.
It's listed on the summary page.
Here, but it's not.
Okay.
01.
Well, these are, that's for professional board.
Add it, are we adding it or crossing it off, the summary that we were doing?
I guess we're not adding it.
Okay.
So does that say they are revised? Where the revised policy?
I can show you how to.
I'll have to go find it.
They're on board.
They're on board. They're on our board docs.
All of the revisions that were made I don't know I can't remember which drop down it is, but you can go in and see
All the revisions.
and what the revision is.
Yeah, and Sharon, this is our first reading or whatever, so this is kind of where we kind of ask questions, then we'll turn around and we'll have a second reading and everything else go through.
So I just have 5610, the explanation around guardians being taken out.
And that's, and to go back to what you all were saying about the principal part, that's not even a part of the mock-up. It's in the summary, but it's not a part of the mock-up of the policy.
What says any principal, they're getting rid of the principal. It says,
Oh, so you're changing
Because
the
it
word
wasn't-
any.
Right.
Okay.
It was not, it was initially relegated to just the principal.
Okay.
Then the conversation is, well, the principal not in the building, so the AP should be able
A
to.
principal couldn't be able to handle that.
It's just those two spots. Okay.
Any other questions in relationship to this first reading from Neola policies? All right, let's go on to our next item is board reports.
No, we gotta-
Oh, we got to approve. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of the Neola policy revisions, including all of those bullets that are listed.
There you go. As presented. Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Allen. We got a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Oh, Ms. Robinson. All right, motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? You see none, all in favor will raise hand and/or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is that Robinson?
Yes. All right, motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, let's go into our reports, the SWSA legislative update. AJ. There was just a meeting on the 14th. That I wasn't able to attend, but there's a lot of different things that are going on. There's like $15 million in the budget that they were talking about in relationship to I also want to make sure that I'm saying this right. I know there was $15 million that they were talking about being able to hand out to school districts. They had that special educator induction program at 258 people that went through that program that they were talking about. There is, it was $50 million for, where'd it go? See, as soon as I turned around and started looking at it, all of a sudden the thing just moved on. I was like, hey, Jack, come back. Oh, no. Hold on. Oh, well, okay. I'll find it again. But anyway, so yep. And then that Wisconsin Special Educator Induction Program, like I said before, 258 people went through there. They talked a little bit more about that new Act 20, the reading requirements. And then, I don't know, there was this one thing, I don't know, and this might be something Strano will be interested. Wisconsin school nurses say increased Medicare reimbursement will provide more services to students. So that was everything I saw in my SWSA.
Yeah, that's just saying that right now they reimburse at a lower rate. So like they reimburse school nurses lower than they would nurses in the hospital. So what they're asking to do is reimburse school nurses the same compensation that they do for nurses in the hospital, which would create a higher revenue for schools.
All right. And that is the SWSA. And on the next meeting is the 14th of June.
You didn't have CISA on there at all.
That's a CISA, one of the bullet points.
It's not a bullet point, so I'm passing that around to you.
Coming to
Not gonna
you.
be. Oh, okay. I just wanted to add, I don't know if everyone got a letter over the weekend, but Dewey Strobel he will be running in the 8th Senate District, which is 2/3 of Brown Deer. He's currently the 24th. He was out of Cedarburg, but he lives in what's now the redistricting, which I guess I haven't paid close attention to where the maps end up. Results end up. But he will be the new state senator. He's going to run for the state senator this fall, or, like I said, 2 of the 3 sections of Brown Deer, then the other section that, like the Pierner Corner that goes, the section that votes at the elementary school, that one, there's an election in August for that Senate seat that's being replacing somebody who, that's that role.
August?
That's that August, or July.
Is that Lena's spot?
Yeah, it's Lena.
July.
So that's the other one. So we had some shifts happening with our legislative leaders, so we'll have to reconnect
Let's go back to
Yeah, there are-
Three people in there
At least 3 right now.
right now.
Yeah. So him and Laura Drake as well as Lakeisha Meyer. So. Yeah.
All right, WASB update.
Just in reviewing some of the information that's come out, I hope I sent it out to everybody, something that.
For the referendum part. Yep.
That was, around the whole, just informational, piece around the referendum. So, and I think there are 2 parts, and I think that there are actually, webinars, that are set, but I don't have the specific dates, but I think for all of us, it's just worth kind of looking at.
Right.
It was the 5th and the 12th of June.
Yeah, and I just signed for yours, yeah. Donna, could you do me a favor, just sign me up for that, because it's 2 parts.
I said,
I got you.
thank you. It was the 5th and the 12th.
Yeah, I got confirmation on it.
All right, and that's it for me for the, WASB. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. And Foundation, just got 1,500 bucks.
Yep, we just got another 1,500, which is good. Scholarships had me almost running like a chicken with my head cut off. Cause they kept adding, oh, can you do this one too? Oh, can you do this one too? So, I think we landed on a total with the community scholarship as well as the name ones that, the team did about 20-ish or so. So those will be awarded on Friday at the award ceremony for our seniors. So if you all are available at 8 a.m., that is always a good time to hear all of the various scholarships and awards that our students have gotten within the district. So that is,
Say it again, I'm sorry.
it's Friday at 8 a.m. in the field house. So if you're available, it's always good to witness our students and see the awards that they've received for the year. Yeah, that's all we have.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec did not meet this month.
Okay. All right, so now with that being said, let's go to our board planning calendar. Of course, we know June 1st is high school graduation. We've had a long discussion about that. The 6th is the last day for students. The 7th is the last day for teachers. Of course, we have our board meeting on the 11th. On the 17th, summer school begins. The 19th is the holiday, Juneteenth, so no school. Summer school resumes on the 20th. The 25th is our regular board meeting. July 1st through the 5th, there's no summer school. The 4th through the 5th, of course, the holiday. The 8th summer school resumes. The 19th, last day of summer school, and then the 23rd of July is our regular board meeting. All right. Now, with that being said, would someone like to make a motion for us to be able to go into closed session?
Yes, Dr. Vito, I'd like to make a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.851C. The Board of Education may move into closed session for the purpose of a discussion of personnel matters.
All right. Thank you very much. A motion has been made. Do we have a second? All right, Ms. Robinson. All right, motion is made and seconded. All right, Ms. Ashley.
Paul Vito,
Aye.
Danielle Ashley, aye. Barrington.
Barrington.
Aiken.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Walker.
Aye.
And the vote is 7-0 to move into closed session at
7:30 p.m. All right, for those of you that are in the audience are in, thank you very much for attending the school board meeting. We really appreciate it. Make sure you stay dry and we will see you soon.